Chicken tacos should only be trusted to chicken professionals.
That's where we come in. Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One comes with pico de gallo and creamy chipotle ranch. And the other comes with bacon, lettuce, tomato, and avocado ranch. Chicken experts since 1990. Chicken taco experts since now. Order yours today in the Zax Rewards app. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
And we're back on the Northland Sports page. It's Brian Prudhomme. It's Dave Cook. It is my favorite Prince song, as that is 7 by Prince. Dave, can you believe it? We're just a few months from this show turning 7, as in 7 years old. A lot of our fans would say we act like 7-year-olds, but this will be different. We're going to have to be well behaved.
We are. We've got one of the most interesting guests coming up that I can remember for quite a while.
Absolutely. We've got some feathers in our cap in the history of this show, but this is a first, I believe. Yeah. I don't think we've ever had a current NBA head coach on with us. That's about to change.
Yeah, fact. I mean, and not only does it combine the music you love and a sport we both love, but we get to talk about local, we get to talk about national, and, frankly, this week we get to talk international.
I agree with you, but you know what? Nobody wants to hear us talk anymore. Let's bring the man in.
Including
it's Nick
us.
Nurse, the head coach of the 76ers. That's right, the Philadelphia 76ers. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, guys. How's it going there in Minnesota?
It's going very well. Now, I have to ask you first, because we bumped you in with Prince music. We'll bump you out with Prince music.
Yep.
My favorite is 7. Your favorite Prince tune is?
Oh, man, I have to pick just one?
I know, it's a loaded question. We need the whole anthology, right?
My very favorite is Sometimes It Snows in April.
Yes.
Which is a really sad, slow song, but that's probably my all-time favorite. But, man, the list of goes deep, that's for sure.
Well, I will tell you this. Sometimes It Snows in April is a little too apt for Minnesota to be accurate too often, so that one gets a lot of play up here too, quite literally. So our listeners might be wondering, why did they kick off with so much Prince, including their first question being about Prince? Nick Nurse, you've got quite the Prince fandom, and you're going to bring it to Minnesota, and you're going to bring it to Paisley Park as well.
Yeah, that's a long answer to a short question. So I am a big Prince fan. I'm from Iowa, just to the south of you guys, and I was a lot like everybody caught up in the movie Purple Rain. I was a senior in high school. I rode a Greyhound bus up to Minneapolis to see the Purple Rain tour in '84 over in St. Paul. So I was hooked ever since. So that's where it started when I was 17 years old, and I guess I'm still living in my high school days a little bit. But I also, the road travels on. I'm NBA coach. I won a championship with Toronto Raptors, and then started a foundation. And the foundation has its main focus on of course, sports. We help do some sports things and literacy things, but my main objective is the music, and help kids get into music and provide lessons, instruments, scholarships, camps, you name it, in music for kids. So we started raising money, and we started doing that by having what we call our Evening of Music. So I told you this was a long answer. So on we go here. We're fast forwarding a few years. I also play a little bit. I play guitar and piano, and the new Power Generation was coming to the Toronto Jazz Festival, and I got a chance to play one song on guitar with them. So I got to be friends with those guys. They came to one of our next Evening of Music, and then it just kind of rolled on from there. You know what I mean? I got to go see Morris Day at the time.
Oh, nice.
Blah blah blah, and then we decided that I got to be friends with the people at Paisley Park, and just kind of thought all the things working together, we'd have an event. It's 40 years ago, I think, this summer that Purple Rain the movie came out. So probably not a whole lot of years left that we can get some of these great bands together, and we're going to do it at Prince's house there, his soundstage at Paisley Park, and it's going to be out there in a week's time. So hopefully some people come out and join us, Prince fans.
Yeah, that is going to be one heck of an event. Dave, I want to tell you that when we lined up this interview with Nick Nurse, I was asked, do you want to talk about the Purple experience with Nick Nurse? And I said, well, sure, I'll talk to Nick Nurse about anything. But you and I just came back from the Purple experience. We were at Vikings training camp. This Purple experience is going to be very different. Go ahead.
Well, it really is, and I think the fact that it's focused on kids and getting them excited and into music for a variety of reasons. You know, Brian, I was showing you the Rockin' 1000 videos where you've got, you know, hundreds of people in a stadium playing the same song. And I can only imagine, you know, kind of in the head on how all these kids that Nick has touched over music, all you know, these years that he's been doing this, probably doing something similar.
Elaborate on what kind of the foundation does. You talked about sports and music and the support of kids. Give us some specific examples of, you know, that touching of kids, impacting of kids that's Dave referencing there.
Yeah, well, the one thing I do want to make clear too is the money that I always raise, I believe in putting it back in the communities where we raise it. So this money from this event will stay right in Minnesota and Minneapolis. And one of the programs that we're going to support is called the Purple Playground, and they do a lot of you know, just everything from A to Z music. Any kid that wants to be involved, and they write their own songs. It is like a Prince influenced program, and they do a lot of their own writing of their own songs. They, you know, whatever area of music these kids want to get into. And for me, we don't really have, you know, we're pretty open. Like I said, we've delivered musical instruments to thousands of kids, literally. Like even during the pandemic, we had to leave them out in their driveway and come out and get them, or on their doorstep or whatever like that. We provided lessons. We put together a bunch of camps at all kinds of levels. You know, younger kids, college age kids. Provide scholarships, just, you know, lots of different programs, and just I don't know, music's really important to me. Like you guys, I bring my keys and my guitar on the road with me to every NBA road game. Well, I don't bring them; my equipment guys kindly do, and I play in the room. It's just a super source of joy for me, and I want to pass that on to kids that aren't able to afford it.
I love that, and I love that you're doing it in conjunction with the state of Minnesota as well, because you've got some connections here. You talked about off the air with us that, you know, you're a 76ers head coach, but the Wolves head coach, Chris Finch, that's a close friend of yours.
Yeah, Chris and I go way back. We were bitter rivals for a long time, both coaching in the British Basketball League, where where everybody goes to learn how to coach basketball, Britain, right? But we were both there a long time, you know, like 8 or 9 years, and seems like he'd win it one year and I'd win it the other. And then London got the Olympic bid for 2012, and Chris was the head coach of that team, and I was as an assistant. And then I came to work in the NBA G League, and then he came, and we played each other in the finals that one year. But then he worked for me in Toronto. He's actually working for me in Toronto when I was the head coach of the Raptors, when he left midseason to become the Wolves head coach. So we go way back. We're actually playing a preseason game, Sixers versus the Wolves, down in Des Moines, Iowa. That's one of the teams that I used to coach in the G League. So we're going back to that. And, yeah, big fan of his. They're doing great, too. I'm so proud of how he's kind of helped them turn it around.
It has been excellent for all of us Wolves fans. You mentioned the Olympic bid. Obviously, the Olympics going on in Paris now as well. Yeah. How closely are you watching that? Because obviously you've got Joel Embiid involved. Ant Edwards is on the Team USA team as well. Yeah. Obviously, the Olympics are looking vastly different with such an NBA flavor with all of the nations involved. But how much fun has this been? Because we all know the 92 Dream Team, for me, and I think for Dave too, is the best team in any sport ever assembled. But it's almost more impressive to, you know, make that gold medal run with so many NBA players standing in your way in the various nations now.
Yeah, it's good. I just got back from Paris, actually, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, so I went out for some of the prelim games. It was great, really a great event. Obviously, the Olympics, there's really nothing like it. I got to see USA play a few times. I saw Canada play a little bit. Caught a little volleyball as well. So my wife's a former college volleyball player, so we checked out some volleyball as well. But USA looks great. I think you're right. Its 92 Dream Team was really something special, but I would say that, you know, the rest of the world has caught up so much, you know, from then as far as the competition that they're providing now, that I'm really super impressed with how this team's playing. They are playing amazing.
So, Brian, it sounds like Nick would agree with us that the most underappreciated sport in the world is volleyball. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it in person. Coach, we're going to talk a little NBA for a second. One of the things that Chris Finch has talked about, and frankly, Ant Edwards has talked about, is the relationship that coaches and players almost have to develop now, rather than just being, Coach Knight. Obviously, that's a long time ago, and that's an extreme, but you know what I'm getting at. You've had a lot of stars, and you've had aging stars, and you've had young up-and-comers. How do you balance, the guys that are getting into it and wanting to make it versus the established?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, it's really part of the job, right? You gotta, I think, have some experienced guys if you're gonna make a serious run at trying to win anything, right? I mean, I think you always gotta have some guys that have either been deep in the playoffs or have been around the league for quite a few years. But, you always, I think having a team balanced with some enthusiasm and youth development is always critical too. I just think that you need to be able to kind of weave it all together. The team we had in 2019 obviously had Gasol and Ibaka and Kawhi and Danny Green, Kyle Lowry, but we still had, the Pascal Siakams, Fred VanVleet,
right.
Norman Powell's, those guys were young and hungry and pushing those guys. And not only were they pushing them, but they were learning from them and all that kind of stuff. So I like it. It's a little bit the way I think our team is put together now. We had to bring in a lot of vets, but we do got some good youth, and it certainly looks a little bit like what the Wolves are doing too right now. A little bit of experience blended in with some enthusiasm and youth and juice.
Coach, I want to ask you one Philadelphia question and only one. Okay. Because up here in Minnesota, obviously every team is named after the state. And that, to me, being in Duluth and not in Minneapolis, St. Paul, that's the beauty of it. But this is the state of hockey, and the Vikings are what they are for football. And it was nice to see the Wolves kind of take the leap and be at the forefront of people's minds these days. With Philadelphia, where do you feel the Sixers are? Because the Phillies are amazing. The Eagles have done what they've done. You've got the Broad Street Bullies. Is it 76ers country, or where do you think it is in the Philly sports hierarchy?
Oh, man, that is a good question, but here's the best answer I can give you, man, is the fans in Philly, as you know, are something
They're rabid,
special.
Yes.
They are, and it has been really interesting for me to move. I've been there about a year now, and everybody's all in. Man, and everybody's all in on all of them. You know what I mean? Like, and there isn't any random Laker fans around, or there aren't any random Warrior fans around. Man, they are all in, and they are all for those teams. So they support them all. I think obviously the Eagles are as like everything. NFL is such a monster. The
right.
Eagles are way up there, and then the rest of us kind of come. But it's really interesting, and it's really fun to feel the energy of those fans, because they are in, and they are in tune and up to date and passionate and something. It's really been fun.
That was a fantastic answer and still somewhat diplomatic at the same time. We are both really enjoying the Nick Nurse experience, but talk to us more about the Purple experience, the big event that lies ahead a week from today.
Yeah, so just we're going out to Paisley Park, the sound stage. We have New Power Generation coming in playing the songs of Prince. We've got Morris Day and The Time coming in doing his whole show. There'll be some special guests. We got DJ Ghost he's our DJ for the Sixers, who's coming along, be spinning tunes. Cool. It'll be really intimate. I don't think there's going to be a super like a lot of people that are there are going to really get some good value and get to meet the musicians and talk to the coaching staff, and some players will be there and all that kind of stuff. Be lots of special guests and just one last little tribute here. Hope to raise some money and keep it in the community and have a good night.
Well, let's go a little bit further down the money-raising road, if you will, because I want to talk about costs. People are going to want to go to this. They're hearing this thinking it sounds great. What's the cost to do something like this event?
It's pretty pricey, right? It is pretty pricey. I think $250 gets you in the door. $350 gets you some VIP and perks. There's some swag and parking and all that stuff involved with it. But again, it is a charity fundraiser. Again, we want to make it exclusive. Like I said, it'll be intimate and personal for people that are there. So they can find out any information on it on Nick Nurse Foundation website or the Paisley Park website.
That's excellent. Now, you said there are no stray Laker fans, roaming around Philadelphia. But if you treat us this nice in Minnesota, especially bringing your DJ, bringing players, bringing staff, you're going to find closet 76ers fans suddenly roaming around the Twin Cities or northern Minnesota if you keep this up.
We might get some travelers. You're right. They're pretty good.
You never know. You can, what they say in the NBA, grow the game. You're doing it inadvertently, perhaps.
That's right. Well, we love coming to Minnesota, man. It's always one of my favorite trips, so we're looking forward to it. That's for sure.
Well, I can tell you this. We absolutely loved having you. What an honor for us. We've had a lot of firsts on this show. Like I said, in the world of radio, we're still just a toddler as we're about to turn 7, but this was one of our favorites. To have an actual NBA coach and get to have this conversation with you, an extreme honor for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Coach.
No problem. I'm honored, too. Thanks for having me on, guys, and we'll see you in a week.
Absolutely. What an honor. Nick Nurse, we appreciate you. Good luck this season, except for every time you play the Wolves. Is that fair?
That's fair.
All right. That's head coach Nick Nurse,
Thanks,
the 76ers. We will be right back. The Northland Sports page continues. Stick around. Back on
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
the Northland Sports page, little Mr. Blue Sky. I hope we see a little more of that today. It should be nice and sunny and a warm weekend, but a place where it's been hot, literally and figuratively, has been the deck, and we want everybody to get there tonight. Harbor Monsters and the who, Dave Cook? It's the Harbor Monsters and the Iowa Woo. Arena Mania, the title is on the line. Little after 7, that game will get underway. I'll be there. I'm the stadium announcer for the deck, but if you can't get there, that's okay. You can hear the game right on these airwaves. A lot of football on these airwaves today. Vikes preseason will get going as well. But first, it's the Northland Sports page. We got just over a half an hour left, then Monster Weekend kickoff until 1. We are not capable of doing anything, Dave Cook, because it is Brian Prudhomme and Dave Cook, without our great sponsors.
Absolutely. Let's start with the OG. Arola Architecture Studio, Hoops Brewing, ABS Auto Solutions. Brian, you know they're a brand new sponsor of ours.
And tell them we sent you.
Please do tell them we sent you. So they got into more than 90 years experience, Brian, in the automotive industry. They specialize in spraying bed liners, rust proofing, other truck accessories, but they also offer full package rust proofing on every vehicle out there. Lifetime warranties on their high-pressure spray-in bed liners. And if you mention that you heard it from us, you're going to get a discount on your full package rust proofing. They also have free loaner cars, because I know that sometimes that'll help make a decision on where you go, right? If there's a loaner car for you, you know, you're more apt to go because you can still get where you want to get. Stop in and see them. They're at 5020 Miller Trunk Highway, or you can always give them a call at 218-722-8713. That's 722-8713. Also, Stewart's Bike Sports and Trophies, Comfort Systems of Duluth, Advantage Implement Screen Printing, Kohler Toyota, and Kohler Hyundai. You know, if you buy a Kohler Toyota, you can buy a Tundra or a Tacoma, or you can go to Hyundai and buy a Santa Cruz. Bring it right to ABS Auto Solutions.
Closed circuit to Aaron Cook. Buy one already. Go ahead.
For Pete's sakes, right?
I don't know who Pete is, but yeah.
At Christensen Group Insurance, Assisted Living Locators, www.assistedlivinglocators.org/Duluth. Kraus Heating and Cooling, your carrier, HVAC authorized dealer. Mount Royal Bottle Shop, Ferguson, Bath and Kitchen, and the Blackwoods Group, including their locations in Proctor and Into Harbors, Tavern on the Hill up by the colleges, and their location on London Road.
Appreciative of all of our sponsors. Some have been with us from the very beginning. Some are very new. Welcome again to Ferguson and ABS in their second week. But again, mention this ad on the Northland Sports page and get that discount. It's well worth it.
So I saw a cool Jeep, Brian, this last week.
Right.
Completely done in bed liner.
It wasn't our actual cool Jeep, was it?
No, not that one. A real Jeep out there. The person who has it can puff their chest out a little bit. Completely done in bed liner. So it's kind of a really dark, not shiny black. Pretty cool.
Very nice. So again, with our sponsors, we want you to buy whatever they're selling, and it's a great time right now to play buy or sell. And here once again is how the game works. I'm going to give a statement for each of the 4 major sports leagues, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, and the NHL. If Dave agrees with said statement, he's going to say buy, and he's going to tell me why. If Dave disagrees, he's going to say sell, and he's going to tell me why. Dave gets to determine the order in which we play and always gives you the perfect take as well.
Well, let's go with the one that's not being done at all right now. Let's go with the NHL.
Which is such a perfect segue because honestly, it's not being done right now. And I've told you week after week lately that finding buy or sells for the NHL or specifically to the Minnesota Wild is getting increasingly difficult because it's just been
Crickets.
a generally monotonous of nothing. Yeah, crickets type offseason. So I'm going to give you this because I know you want to talk about Patrick Laine again, or Laine, or however you correctly pronounce it. I haven't said Laine's this much since I was craving summer shandy, but either way, buy or sell this. We know the salary cap purgatory doesn't end until next season. So the Wild are limited, evidenced by what we've seen or haven't seen. But Bill Guerin has kind of been the in-bill we trust for the most part. I know you need a break from that, so I apologize in advance. But buy or sell that you see the Wild making a splashy move before this season gets started?
I'm going to sell, but only here's a reason, Brian. I'm going to sell because I think Patrick Laine is the move they'd make. And I just think the extra baggage is so anti-Bill Guerin. Like, he could really use a big guy who can shoot and score, right? But Laine's whole game stinks. Like, he can play, he can shoot like nobody's business. In the offensive zone, he is a madman. But the rest of his game, you know my greatest beef with my favorite player, right? Vanek could do anything in the offensive zone, but
except skate.
He would literally go to the bench on back checking, right? That's kind of who Laine is, and that is so anti-Bill Guerin. I can't imagine he makes that move, but Dean Evason is there, and Freddie Gaudreau is here, and Nookie Blanky. Maybe we can do something with that.
I'm going to sell it too because I think they're just building towards the future and they know how bright the future is, at least financially. We'll see what they do with it, but locking up Faber long term, Rossi or Rossi, however you want to pronounce it, continues to kind of bet on himself and come into his own. That's the right thing to do that way. They are not necessarily in a rebuild, but at least in a build. And I don't see why you would do something grandiose now when you have all kinds of flexibility in a year or two.
Yeah, for a guy who doesn't play hard all the time. That's the thing. If it's him, I'm going to be very surprised.
Well, and you know what I'm going to say? You don't have to worry about meeting fans' expectations because there aren't any. They'll show out and be bonkers no matter what.
Right, you'll have a lot of Laine jerseys
if
everywhere.
You crave mediocre play, you're going to get it. And let's see. Maybe the young kids will surprise us. It is possible. I think if they get goaltending,
don't tell Sinekin.
If they get goaltending, they're going to be better than people think. But I'd love to know what people think right now.
Right.
What do you think about moving on? You got 3 leagues to go.
Absolutely. Let's go with let's do the opposite of what I just said. Let's go with baseball. Let's go MLB.
All right. So Major League Baseball. Spoiler alert: this is going to be a bit of a repeat question. So last week,
Dean Evason going to do?
Last week at Vikings training camp, I said the trade deadline is come and gone, and I repeated it. And I somewhat yelled it, hey, the trade deadline's come and gone, because it seemed like the Twins missed the boat on really doing anything at all. They made one deal, and it's been the best of times, worst of times there, too. But I asked about the Twins' chances and whether or not we were down on them, and you and I weren't, and Nick Stoltman was. And I got text messages from listeners that said there's a 0% chance that the Twins make the playoffs this year. But some of those people that I got those messages from don't know how to be positive if they had the opportunity. Could never be a proton, I guess is the way we would put that.
Nice.
But I'm going to ask it again just because of yesterday. Because if you think of the grand scape of 24 hours, the Twins had some of the worst injury announcements you could make before they took the field yesterday. Brock Stewart is basically done. It looks like Joe Ryan is close to, if not done, in terms of this season. And Brooks Lee headed to the IL. And oh, by the way, Carlos Correa hasn't played in about a month. So we thought...
And Buxton hasn't played a ton.
So we thought, oh boy, this is... whatever the stretch run is going to be, it's a stretch to think the Twins are going to be part of it. And I know it was only 2 games, but then they went out and they swept the Guardians in a doubleheader. They're firmly in a wild card spot. They're a game and a half out of the division as they take the field later tonight. So buy or sell again, given all the happenings of the last 24 hours, your expectations, which was the theme in segment 1, are even higher now for the Minnesota Twins.
I'm going to sell, but I'm going to sell tentatively with a hat tip. I think they're in trouble, right? You can't lose all those players and have done nothing and expect to continue to win. But this team is gutsy. Like, it's got that edge that we all want our sports teams to have. It's got that. I mean, just the doubleheader win yesterday when you're throwing Louis Varland out there and he pulls a rabbit out of his hat and then your bullpen of new guys and guys that haven't
I was
done
going to say,
anything.
your bullpen pulled the rabbit. 4 1/3 perfect from guys that are far from perfect.
And so this moxie that they have is the moxie you want in a championship team. I just don't know if they have the horses for it.
And I'm going to sell for similar reasons. I'm going to sell the fact that my expectations went up, but don't forget that I'm the guy that had high expectations this year to begin with. So if they went up, that would be problematic. And you're right. You can't have that kind of injury steam on you and pretend to be that much better. It's just too difficult to overcome. But those of you that think the Twins have no chance to make the playoffs this year, I'm also going to sell you about as hard as I possibly can, because these guys do have enough to be in games and be competitive, and the young kids are more talented than we expected.
And you know who's coming.
And Carlos Correa will be back at some point.
You know who else is coming?
I don't know who else is coming back.
Rich Hill.
Well, there are rumors of that. But by the way, Rich Hill is my age.
No,
and I think we throw about the same speed.
Yeah, honestly, this time. We make fun of that all the time. No, Rich Hill is your age.
He is. I think he's actually 1 year younger. I think he might be 44 and I'm 45. So I'm not a huge fan of a potential Rich Hill move, but it could be coming. You're right. But I just think the Twins continue to do enough. I see this on social media all the time. If you scroll Twitter in Twins fandom or X or whatever, X is maybe the operative word, because you'd think everybody's an ex-Twins fan. Because if you scroll Twitter, the Twins are godforsaken terrible.
Yeah,
and
they're
then
not that.
And then you look at the standings and you're like, they're 3 games back of the best record in their league.
Yeah, the Pohlads can wear this one. Like we have friends who are like anti-Pohlad. I haven't been anti-Pohlad really until this year.
I was going to say that this year's deadline kind of made the Pohlad mantra impossible to defend.
Yep.
The only thing that I still defend is that there are people that cannot back this team, cannot pay attention to this team because of the way the ownership operates. You do you, but I'm not going to put that on the players and let that spoil my love of baseball. That I can't do. I can't look at a team and, well, they lost 3 in a row because the Pohlads don't care. No, because if they win 7 in a row, you're not going to say because the Pohlads don't care, because the Pohlads suddenly are great.
The thing about Rich Hill coming, every pane of glass in the cities is good, because they can't throw through one. So big curveballs.
It's the Ryan Suter slap shot of pitching.
Here they come. I think it'd just be great. Wouldn't it be great if he was your number 2 and just dominated the rest of the year?
All right, so we've got 2 left. You've got the NFL and the NBA to go.
Yep, we're going to go NBA this time. Gold medal game is coming up. Most NBA players, so let's do that one. Then I want to finish with the preseason.
All right, so the NBA, this past game for Team USA on the men's side was weird. Let's face it, we hope they win the gold. They probably shouldn't be in it. Serbia had them on the ropes, and I was thrilled that they won. I was texting you almost play-by-play down the stretch.
Yep.
And my wife was watching in a different area. She was visiting her brother, and she said, "Are you watching this?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes." And when it ended, I said, "Okay, that felt really weird to be rooting on LeBron, because I'm not that guy." But he absolutely took over. I know Steph Curry went off. I know Joel Embiid went off. But LeBron has kind of been prime LeBron at times in this Olympics. So buy or sell that even at his age, speaking of Rich Hill, that bodes well for prime LeBron this coming NBA season.
I don't think it has any bearing whatsoever, because I think the difference is this is a sprint, and the NBA season is a marathon, right? Taking baseball out of this.
So you're selling?
But, I'm going to sell that it makes a high-to-hair difference of his NBA season. In fact, it may actually hurt it, because he's not going to have the summer to recoup. But doggone it, he's good. We make fun of LeBron all the time because people want to compare him to Jordan. I mean, there's been games in the Olympics where he has willed the team to win. The Olympics. So every great player in the world is in this, and the best player in the world for the last 20 years is willing the United States basketball team to victory in games they would have lost. Because, again, the stuff that makes USA basketball fun also doesn't always register in international play. Curry registers in international play. LeBron is so good he can cross that boundary. So, it's crazy to watch him play right now.
So I'm going to buy, and I'll admit I'm going to buy just to be a little bit different. I think this does bode well for prime LeBron next season. Now, the easy way to sell would be, well, no, it doesn't, because LeBron in his prime didn't need load management. So there's no way really at his age to be prime LeBron anymore. But I'm going to buy because LeBron individually, when you look at his stats, what he's doing at his age, and this is somebody who's not a fan of him, by the way, speaking at the moment, but what he's doing at his age and with his longevity in the league is jaw-dropping. His season probably will be outstanding again. I'm just not sure what it means, because he was outstanding last season. The Lakers weren't. I'm not sure when you look at the Western Conference from a landscape perspective, the Lakers are a factor still. So LeBron could be otherworldly, but otherworldly LeBron used to mean his team's in title contention. That's not true anymore.
I got 2 questions for you, and I'll be super fast. You don't have to answer them even. One question is
that'd be weird. That'd be just crickets, but go ahead.
Is LeBron the greatest United States Olympic basketball player ever? 1. And 2, is the way Anthony Edwards played in the Olympics a positive sign for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
LeBron, I'm going to plead the 5th because I'd have to think about the history of the Olympics, because you can't put the Dream Teamers on there because too many of them only played in the one. I know Jordan played before, but again, I'd have to historically look at it. So I would say no. In fact, I would probably say Kevin Durant before LeBron, but I'd have to look further into it. So I'm still pleading the 5th. The way Anthony Edwards has played in the Olympics, is it a positive? No, I don't think it is, because I think one of the biggest bright spots of the Timberwolves, and Chris Finch talks about this, when the ball isn't sticky, they're really good. Team USA in general relies too much on the ball getting sticky. With a team full of stars, you're going to see that. But Ant bought into that too. What did I tell you about the game against Serbia? He was horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
So I don't think it's a positive, but I also don't think it's a negative. I think it's an experience he'll write home about.
I'm thinking the experience might help him next year. If you want to be the guy, you got to be the guy. All right, so let's do the National Football League.
All right, so later this afternoon on these airwaves, the Vikings preseason begins. Now, the Vikings have a lot of guys that should be relied upon during regular season Sundays that will see action today. In previous years, that hasn't been true because you've had guys that you need to protect, and depth charts have been pretty much cemented already. So buy or sell this, given that the Vikings have such a question mark filled roster, or a younger roster, if you just want to put it that way, it adds to your preseason football intrigue.
Oh, I'm going to buy that. I think that's a great question, Brian, because there's really 3 guys that shouldn't play, right? It's Jones, it's Jefferson, and it's Darisaw. Everybody else can play, at least for a little bit today, and it's going to be fun to see, some of the undrafted free agents that we're hearing about. Will Gabe Murphy flash like they've been saying he's flashing all season long? What will McCarthy look like in a real game against real bullets, right? Can Sam Darnold do anything but throw the deep ball? There's so much intrigue going on in this. Who's actually tight end number 1?
For now, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Johnny Munt and all his albums. It's Oliver, but
will the kid lineman from Wake Forest, I don't remember, Juergens. Will Juergens have a shot at overtaking and being your backup center, right? Being your backup interior guy. They love him. I just want to see him, right? And so I think that's going to be exciting.
So you're going to buy...
Oh, and of course, Project X. We want to see Leva, or we want to see the Rodriguez kid.
So you're going to buy, and I knew you would, because you love kids, you love the draft, you love all of that.
Did you do that on purpose?
So that was spoon-fed. Yes, you're welcome.
I'm glad the headache's gone.
Never questioned my love for you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sell to be a little bit contrarian, but to stick to who I am as well, because the words preseason and intrigue should never be together. Not a chance. Now, there are some intriguing parts of this roster. I get that. But I think if we had the chance to see them, you'd be more intrigued by joint practices, because they're going to look more realistic than something like this afternoon will be. And then, even though I didn't put this in the outline of the question, it's also preseason game 1. I'm not intrigued at that point. Preseason game 2 or 3, I certainly am. So I get that there's younger guys to watch, but intrigue in preseason football, and maybe it has a lot to do with the fact the Harbor Monsters are playing tonight, not me.
Hey, did Jefferson admitting that he's afraid of getting injured, did that bother you?
No, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask Harbor Monster players about that attitude, because players need a good attitude. So that'll be from noon to 1 during Monster Weekend Kickoff, but we got one more segment left, just as we did last week. We're going to close the show with Vencie Glenn.
Oh, I should ask him that.
But we owe him a lot more than 4 minutes, so we're going to have about 10 with him when we come back. Northland Sports Page, we're closing it out, and then noon to 1 Monster Weekend Kickoff. We'll be right back.
Introducing Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos. One with pico and creamy chipotle ranch, and the other with bacon and avocado ranch. Chicken expert since 1990. Taco expert since now. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
A little soul man, as the heart and soul of so many of our football-related shows, is with us now. He was with us last week, but don't blink or you'll miss him. Vencie Glenn, we got him about 3 minutes last week during a action-packed show in Eagan for Vikings training camp, and we said, Vencie, you're one of the staples of this show. We owe you a little more time. So today we've got closer to probably 12 minutes, and let's get to you right away. 2-5, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
Good to talk to you, and good to be able to actually exhale while I talk to you rather than rush you along like the Micro Machines guy.
All we got was his name last week.
That's right. Everybody knew who it was because Vencie gets to close the show every time we get him. But let's talk about, instead of closing, let's talk about opening, because the Vikings preseason will open in a few hours. This year is almost going to take you back a little bit, because back in your day, guys who were going to played in the preseason. Recently, that hasn't been the case. Now today, it sounds like the Vikings are kind of ironing out their depth chart by letting a lot of guys play. Take me through your memories of some preseason week ones, if you will.
I really don't remember week ones because I knew I wasn't going to play but 3 plays.
Nice. 100% nice.
It was just more, it was more about getting in shape and just preparing your mind and just paying attention to details. Things that a play that they might run later on in the year if you happen to play the same team. So it's all a learning experience and just getting acclimated to the whole NFL situation for that year.
So, Dave, if you think about it, that makes sense. So, basically, last week's appearance by Vencie was the equivalent to preseason week 1. He was there for about 2 minutes, then he was gone. Go ahead.
Very nice, very nice. I've been saving up questions for like 3 weeks for Vencie. One of them, Vencie, I used earlier today, and it's this. All right, so you're down to it. You're down by more than a field goal. You're at the 1. Who's your running back? I got some suggestions. Roger Craig, Earl Campbell, Ironhead Hayward. Is there somebody that you faced that, my God, if they're down by less than a touchdown but more than a field goal, he's getting the ball and he's going to be a pain to tackle?
Oh, everybody. I don't care. This is the pros, baby. This is the pros. Anybody can score, man. Are you kidding me, man? It'll be the dude that you least suspect, a fullback or somebody else that'll score. You talking about a yard. Any man can get a yard if he really want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not about individuals. Yeah, there are individuals that stand out more than others because they get the ball, they get more opportunities. But would you rather get beat by Jerry Rice or the third down wide receiver that only catches 20 passes a year and he beats you for a touchdown? Which is probably worse. I'd probably rather get beat by Jerry Rice than a third string wideout. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So anybody's capable. All you need is a yard.
That's well said. I was just thinking about that. To put it in Vikings terms, would you rather get beat by Jerry Rice or Alan Rice? Do you remember Alan Rice in the backfield for the Vikes?
I do.
Since you've got 3 weeks worth of questions, I'll give you carte blanche again.
All right. So
Vencie gets started talking to me anyway. Go ahead.
Last week, Vencie, JJ, Justin Jefferson came out and said, talked a little bit about fear of being injured. And I was wondering, and this one I said to my wife, I got to ask Vencie about this. One, what do you think about him talking out loud about fear of injury? And mentality. Where football, I was always told, don't worry about getting injured. You're going to get injured. And so I'm wondering what your take is on Justin Jefferson publicly saying, hey, you know what? I'm a little worried about that again.
Well, here's a guy that's probably never been seriously injured. 2, here's a guy that the injury that he had last year affected his psychology, the way he approaches the games and the way he thinks about it. That's why they want money. So they can get their money. So if they get hurt, they say, okay, I still got my money. It wasn't like that back then. If you were injured and you could semi-play, you better play because you probably wasn't going to have a job because people would say, well, he can't play hurt. So when you're sitting out there and you're worried about getting hurt, you're probably going to get hurt, to be honest. Because even in practice, look how many guys tear their Achilles in practice, ACL, MCL, whatever in practice, and they ain't no contact doing it. So this day and age is prevalent because of the way they train their bodies, more for track purposes than instead of for body contact, because it's a contact sport. It's a collision sport. So if you're training your body for only speed and not collision, you're probably going to be thinking about getting hurt, and any little thing could probably set you back now.
Vencie, I want to take you a different direction than the NFL because we've got a couple of different spectrums, if you will, when it comes to some football seasons. The Vikings open their preseason today, but here in Duluth, our Arena League team plays in their title game today in the inaugural season.
Well, you've talked
to them before. That's exactly where I'm going. You talked to them before game 1, and they were all, wide-eyed with their ears wide open as well at the brewery. And you told them to embrace the opportunity, to bring something special to the city. Well, they're one win away from really doing that tonight, capturing a championship. I think the mantra for this team has been prepare like it's any other game. We're going to hear from them this afternoon. But how do you prepare for bigger games, having been in the postseason and whatnot? Is it literally about keeping it the same, or are you too aware of, hey, this is for all the marbles, I got to do some things differently?
No, it's totally different. It's totally different. The moment is different. the excitement, the results of it is going to be way different than a preseason or regular season game. This is it. This is what you live to play for. Nerves are going to be different, how you approach it. So that's why I told them, embrace the moment. You have a chance to do history. You have a chance to do something that's never been done in that city. Embrace it. And obviously they have. They came together and put themselves in this opportunity and just keep doing what you've been doing. Don't try to get cute. Don't try to get fancy. Just stick to details and go out and play every play as it's your last play and be worry about being tired tomorrow, not today.
I think it's interesting, Brian, because they listen to the show. So I'm hoping that whole team has got the radio on in the locker room and they are all nodding right now. Vencie, game 1 today, preseason, and I know that, like you said with Brian, it's not something that you worried too much about, but there's a bunch of guys who are. And I'm wondering about your take on those undrafted free agents that have shown up pretty well so far in the preseason. And in your experience, what does a undrafted guy need to do to actually make the squad, not just pop in a practice?
Well, more than anything, I think every play you need to do your assignment more than anything. Let them know that, hey, I understand the philosophy of the offense, the defense, or the special teams that I'm on, and I'm running to the ball and I'm playing hard and I'm putting it on the line as it's their play. And that alone just helps you get acclimated. It's football. They've been playing football all their lives. So it's still football at the end of the day, but you have to show that intellectually that you're there, you can handle the moment, you can handle adjustments. And the physicality of it is if you just want to play in the league or not. And if you do, you'll make plays. If not, you won't.
I want to piggyback off what Dave said with, again, you as a veteran didn't have to worry about week 1 of the preseason, but there are guys who do. And I think ironically enough with this season, a lot of the guys who do are in the defensive backfield because that room is just different looking right now for the Minnesota Vikings. When you were a veteran, I know you didn't have to worry, but you had to have kids in that locker room who were worried. How many guys picked your ear, and what did you tell them when it's a rookie who has a different spotlight or a different goal than you did during the preseason?
To be honest, you really don't say too much to them because you don't want them thinking. In the secondary, you can't think. You can't be back there, what if. You got to play the play, whatever it is. Just run to the ball, play the play. Do as best you can. When you start thinking in the secondary, now you're getting set up for double moves. The guy that you think is going to beat you is not going to be the guy that beats you. So you put a lot of undue stress on yourself. And like I said, you got 10 other guys out there. Everybody's playing the same defensive philosophy or offensive philosophy on that play. And you just go out there and play that play the best you can, as hard as you can, and let the chips fall where they fall. And that's the way you have to approach it. It sounds simplistic, but it really is because it's football. You see the guy with the ball, go tackle him. That's it.
Talking with Vencie Glenn, part of the Drawing Line segment, courtesy of Arolla Architecture Studio. And to that end, I guess, how difficult is it to get a younger player to remember that next play mentality? Because I got to think that somebody out there, let's say they get caught thinking today and they get torched on a play. Some young kid is going to think, I made one bad play, now I'm going to get cut. How do you get them over that hump mentally?
There's a lot of veterans think that too.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
There's a lot of veterans think that too. So it's just a mentality, and if you're confident about what you're doing and the way you've approached the game and the way you've approached practice and meetings and things like that, you just go on. You're used to it. You've had it at the college level at some point. So you just understand, and things happen so fast in football that the next play is 30 seconds away. So it's like you don't really have time to dwell on it, or you'll get beat the next play as well. So it's a learn and forget league as quick as you can.
Vencie, I was training a coworker this week about picking up other coworkers. You'll see somebody have a bad presentation or a conversation with management, it didn't go well, and sitting down and talking to them, even if they're not coworkers with you currently, but in the past. And I'm wondering, Vencie, in your history, you played with a ton of guys. Have you ever reached out to a player that maybe isn't on your team anymore and just to pick them up or to walk them through something you saw?
No, never. Nobody that wasn't on my team. There's guys that I've had offline conversations with. Just minimal conversations about, hey man, you good? Just just believe in yourself, and you're a good person. And whether if you play on this team, you got the opportunity to play in the league. There's 32 teams, guys, and everybody gets caught up in the name of a team or the city that they're in and things like that. And it's like, hey, I might not be the guy for this team, but I played well in 4 different teams. I didn't just play well on the first team I went to. I played well wherever I went. So, it's just a confidence thing in your ability to learn the league, learn football, and play within your skill level and skill set. And if you can do that and stay true to who you are, you'll find a way to make it work out there.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm really happy that we found a way to make today work a lot better than last week. Vencie, this was fun. 15 or so minutes with you.
I got a quick question.
All right.
This is for you guys to think about for next week or whenever I come back on.
Okay.
How do you think flag football, or not flag football, is it flag football?
It's arena football up here.
No.
Oh, flag in the Olympics, yes.
How is that going to work in 4 years for guys that are in college and guys that are maybe used to play pros? How are they going to implement that? Because the pros play in the Olympics now. So I'm just kind of figuring out how you think they're going to set that up for guys to be able to play.
All right.
Think about that.
That is going to be interesting. I think, Dave, you might be asking, who's going to be flag football's version of Jimmer Fredette? That's going to be the question. Vencie, you're the man. Let's do this again in a week, my friend. Have a good rest of the weekend.
You got it, guys.
Take it easy, my friend.
All right, that's Vencie Glenn. That's Drawing Lines, and that's the show. Thank you to everybody who participated today. Thank you to Bill Watson. Difficult time for Bulldog Country. Thank you to Dave Hoops. Thank you to Nick Nurse. Thank you to Vencie Glenn. Dave Cook, thank you. We got to roll the Monster Weekend kickoff very soon, but you're chomping at the bit to get one more word in.
Johnny Manziel carrying the flag for the U.S. Olympic team.
Oof, there's Dave's wishful thinking. I will end that show with, and then he woke up. But I'm Brian Prudhomme. He's Dave Cook. We got one more chair in the studio. We're going to let Greg Grell fill it. Monster Weekend Kickoff is next. Get on down to the deck tonight. It's the Monsters and the Who, Dave?
It is the Who.
The Iowa Woo will be here a little after 7. Monster Weekend Kickoff starts in a matter of seconds. We'll see you in a little bit.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.